You know how in the tech world, phones are basically ancient history after about a year? Well, what if I told you about one phone that just refused to die, a phone that became an absolute legend? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the HTC HD2. So let me just ask you this straight up. Could a single phone, one device, run pretty much every operating system you could throw at it? We're talking Windows, Android, even Linux? I mean, that sounds completely impossible, right? Well, for one very special phone, it wasn't impossible at all. It was just another Tuesday. So here it is. Meet the HTC HD2. It came out way back in 2009 running Windows Mobile, but over time it earned these amazing nicknames like Living Legend and, get this, the Saint of Android, which is hilarious because it didn't even ship with Android. Its story isn't really about the hardware. It's about a community that just would not let it go. Okay, so how does a story like this even begin? It all starts with a big no. Microsoft comes out with its flashy new operating system, Windows Phone 7, but then they drop a bomb. Older phones, including the brand new HD2, were not getting the update. Just like that, they were being left in the dust. So you have this showdown, right? On one side, you've got Microsoft saying the hardware just isn't powerful enough. And on the other side, you have this incredibly passionate community of HD2 owners who basically said, "Oh really? Hold my beer." And that, right there, is the moment a simple phone started its journey to becoming immortal. So how on earth did they do it? I mean, how did a bunch of developers turn a corporate shutdown into one of the biggest success stories in tech history? Well, the secret was cracking open the very first thing a phone does when you turn it on. So really get the magic here, we have to talk about something called the bootloader. Just think of it like the bouncer at a club. It's the very first piece of software that runs, and it gets to decide which operating system is on the guest list and gets to come in and run the whole show. And let me tell you, the HD2's original bouncer was very strict at first. So this amazing group of hackers called the DF team created their own custom bootloader, MAGLDR. This thing was a work of art. It was like they fired the old, strict bouncer and hired a new one who was super chill. All of a sudden, the phone had a choice. It could boot the original Windows Mobile from its internal memory, or it could boot a totally different OS from the SD card. Just like that, the HD2 basically became a dual boot computer that fit in your pocket. The floodgates were officially open. And once those floodgates were open, oh man, the community didn't just walk through. They threw the biggest party you've ever seen. The HD2 didn't just get a second life. It got a third, a fourth. It lived like a dozen different lives. Okay, let's start with its most famous second act, Android. Now, most phones from that time were lucky to get one or two official updates. The HD2 community kept it alive and kicking on Android for 6 years. They ported Android 2.2, then 2.3, then 4.0, 4.1, 6.0, all the way to Android 7.0 Nougat in 2016. That kind of lifespan for a smartphone is it's completely unheard of. Now, let's be real, was it a perfect experience? No, of course not. One of the developers put it perfectly. He said running Android 7 on it was like watching an old man run a marathon. Yeah, the phone got hot, it was super laggy, but that was never the point. The real miracle was that this old man could even cross the finish line at all. But they didn't stop with Android. No way. The community ported the exact version of Windows Phone 7 that Microsoft said was impossible to run on it. And guess what? It ran great. And then things just got crazy. They put actual desktop operating systems on it, like Windows 95, Windows RT. They even put Linux systems like Ubuntu and MeeGo on there. The phone literally became a playground for anything and everything. So this all leads to the big question, right? Why the HD2? What was the secret recipe? What made this one specific device the perfect canvas for all this incredible software wizardry? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was more like a perfect storm, really. And it was all created by 3 key ingredients. First off, back in its day, the HD2 was an absolute beast. It had a 1 GHz processor and a pretty hefty 448 megabytes of RAM. That gave developers a ton of room to play. Second, that flexible memory system we talked about, the one that let it boot from an SD card, that was crucial. But the third, and honestly, the most important ingredient of all, was the people. It was the huge, brilliant, and unbelievably passionate community over on the XDA Developers Forum. This quote just says it all. The HD2 became something more than just a phone. It was a challenge. It was a canvas. For a developer, being able to successfully port a brand new operating system to this thing, that was a badge of honor. It was how you proved your skills and earned massive respect in the community. So when we look back at this whole story, what's the real legacy of the HTC HD2? Because it's not just about a piece of plastic and silicon that lasted a long time. It's really about something much, much bigger than that. The phone itself? It's completely obsolete now, obviously. But what it represents? That's timeless. The HD2 is a monument. It's a monument to what a group of really smart, passionate people can do when they all work together. It's a story about pure, unadulterated, collaborative genius. And if you take away just one lesson from this entire saga, let it be this. You just don't mess with the tech community. Because when they really want to make something happen, there is pretty much nothing that can get in their way. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. In today's world, with phones that are so locked down, with security so tight there's almost no room to tinker, could we ever see another legend like the HTC HD2? Or was it just a beautiful, one-of-a-kind moment in time? Something to think about.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell for the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.